So in 2 days, the WWE Network launches officially. Tomorrow is the Elimination Chamber. Monday is Monday Night Raw. And then, following the end of Monday Night Raw, is the release of the WWE Network. Before that launches, I just wanted to get my predictions in on how the network will change the landscape of the WWE. I think that the move away from the pay-per-view model towards the network model will make a very substantial difference in the way that we experience the WWE product. Because, in the past, WWE was forced to sell pay-per-views based on their own merit. If you wanted to sell a pay-per-view, you had to sell it based on that pay-per-view's card. So this would make it very less likely that WWE would want to take any risks of who they put in the main event, who they make the winners, and so on. Because, if you have, this is just an extreme example, but if you want to have Big E Langston challenge for the world title or something, odds are WWE will not want to do anything like that because they know that Big E Langston is not going to sell a pay-per-view in the main event, at least at this stage. But in the network, you don't have to sell pay-per-views based on their cards alone, because no one buys the network to get one pay-per-view. In fact, you can't. You have to commit to 6 pay-per-views or 6 months. So, the network is going to be selling based on the WWE as a whole. It's not going to rely on the individual pay-per-view cards, and what this means is that the WWE will be far more likely to take risks in what used to be pay-per-views. Now, more likely they will change into just big events or blow-off events where feuds come to an end, storylines climax, and all the stuff that we're used to. But we don't have to live with the archaic model of the past, where in the past you might be able to sell a pay-per-view based on a big marquee match like Hogan versus Rock. These days you don't have that kind of star power, so you can't necessarily expect to sell a pay-per-view based on John Cena versus Randy Orton, or Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan, or any matchup really. I don't think the star power in the WWE right now is sufficient to sell that kind of pay-per-view, especially not at $50 a card. The network, like I said, doesn't have to rely on this kind of model because no one buys the network for individual pay-per-views. They buy it for the streaming, the archives, the old videos, the old pay-per-views, and they buy it for the year-long pay-per-views. So what I've noticed is that when it comes to pushing new stars and new talent, they're not afraid to do this on Monday Night Raw. In fact, a lot of Monday Night Raws have been ending with Daniel Bryan or The Shield or any number of new stars closing out the show, or maybe even being the focal point of the show. And I think this observation will carry over to pay-per-views because the pay-per-views will become, in effect, glorified versions of these everyday shows. The difference being they're special events, so I don't think we can expect the content of the pay-per-views to change much. I think the content will more or less be the same. I think the quality of matches will still be as good. I just think that WWE will be willing to take more risks because they're not trying to sell one pay-per-view. They're trying to sell an overall experience. And if the 6 months of WWE pay-per-views don't satisfy the customers, then they are liable to end their subscription. So this means that WWE can't get away with doing what they used to do. They can't get away with giving the fans wrestlers in the main events that they don't want to see. Because if they do, they're making a very risky move. And the risk is that they're going to lose their internet audience. Because whereas before, it was primarily casual viewers buying the pay-per-views, because, little children and their parents buying the pay-per-views, now we should expect a lot of internet fans to buy the network, partially because it's cheaper and partially because it offers a bunch of archived stuff. And it's you kind of need the internet fans to buy the pay-per-views because you're banking on the fact that the people who used to stream the pay-per-views for free on the internet are now going to spend the $10 a month to watch it on the network. But if you alienate that portion of the fan base who knows if the network will remain profitable. I think that what this entails is that we're going to see a lot more consistency in terms of storytelling because the WWE now controls the shows, they control the pay-per-views. They don't have to answer to anyone else. There's no middleman. It's just them and the customers. And unlike the rating system of television, which I don't think is a very good indicator of the success of a product on TV anymore, because people don't really watch TV. They DVR or they stream online or any number of things. But unlike that system where you can't really deliver a blow to WWE, especially if you don't have the Nielsen box, you can't just tune out and have the WWE really care because it's one person tuning out, and odds are you don't even count on their ratings anyway because you don't have the Nielsen box. But if you have the network and you cancel your subscription, that's a real blow to them. It's a tangible thing. It's a number that they can see, and there's no Nielsen box representation. It's just one subscription, one person. If that person doesn't like what they see, they can cancel their subscription, and the WWE will be affected by that in a very real way. And this makes the WWE much more liable for their product. They have to answer to fans. They can't continue to do what they've been doing. If they do another thing where they have a Royal Rumble where the fans clearly want to see one person in the Rumble and win the Rumble, and the WWE not only doesn't have that person win, but they have him not even enter and participate, this is a real liability for them because people can just cancel. And I'm not sure how it will work. Obviously, I don't think you could cancel out of the blue, but for sure you could stop. You could not renew your subscription after the 6 months. So I think the WWE will finally be held accountable for the product that they put out. I think they will have more consistency in their storylines, in their pushes, in their characters, because now they don't have to worry about selling pay-per-views. They just have to worry about making a product that entertains people for at least a period of 6 months. And they have to plan for long term, because if they don't, they're liable to have many people cancel their subscriptions. And I know that many people are in it for the archives, but after 6 months, I think people will not be so interested in the archives anymore. I think people will wear that out after the first few months. And if the WWE doesn't deliver on the modern pay-per-views, people will cancel their subscriptions. I have no doubt about that. So I think this is going to be a real game changer, and I think we as fans will see a much more satisfying product as this goes forward with this new model.